on our mobile device journey. So technical session number 29. This will be another relatively quick one, and then we got another one this morning. So today we have another 3 technical session day. We'll have 2 this morning, 1 this afternoon. Hopefully we can still get some async time in there as well, as that is always our goal, to try to at least get some of that in there for the day. For this particular technical session, we'll be describing the purpose and value of synchronizing our data between mobile devices and desktops or laptops, what have you. Identify some of those, the types of data that could be synchronized. Yes, you do need to know the list and what does not actually synchronize as well. The 2 main synchronization methods, pretty straightforward on that. Describe types of connections that are available. Again, pretty straightforward. Name the steps to synchronizing data between mobile devices and laptops and desktops. And then identify some common pitfalls when doing so. All right, behavior skills and mindsets we want to keep in mind for this particular session. Customer focus. Without our customers, we do not have a job, be it internal or external customers. Know who your customers are. They must take primacy in our daily activities, because if they don't feel as if we are taking care of their problems or taking their problems seriously, they're going to seek help elsewhere. And also future orientation. Bearing in mind, our actions right now, what we do today, affect our ability to achieve our goals in the future. All right, basic overview of synchronization. Madison, can you start us off? Wake up a little bit. I'm still waking up too, so I'm going for the caffeine.
Overview of synchronization. Smartphones and tablets can synchronize or sync with local PCs or with cloud-based servers to keep files and data up to date. The benefits of synchronization include backup of data, data availability in multiple devices at the same time, easy to set up a new device, download updates and patches, the process. Various mobile devices sync differently depending upon the device vendor and software required. All of them allow to decide which data to sync on the settings from the email app or from the OS.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. So if we're going to be syncing our devices, do we want this to happen automatically no matter what?
No.
No, right? So we want to set up something where if somebody plugs a device into my computer, it asks for authorization from the computer. Do you want this device to actually communicate data, or do you just want us to share power? But you also want the other end of, do you want this computer to be able to trust this, or do you want this phone to trust the computer? So you need to do something which is called mutual authentication. So both sides need to agree to the transfer of data before the data exchange takes place. Many of you have probably experienced it where you're like, you plug it in, it's like, you know, you've unlocked your phone, you plugged it in, and then you have to put the code in yet again before it'll let you do it. But it's a safety measure just to make sure that somebody isn't basically swiping your phone and then trying to sync up all your calendar data and all that stuff. So mutual authentication has to take place. And from a computer perspective, you don't want someone basically hooking up a phone with a virus on it to your computer and allowing it to upload that information to your system. So both places have to verify that they're okay with the data transfer at that point. It adds additional security. So both your Androids and your Apple devices share this particular trait, and they typically use secure sockets layer in order to do those transfers. All right. So what types of data are synchronized? I would take a screenshot of this because this is pretty much a comprehensive list. And they will ask questions like, of the things below, what is not synchronized? So you got your contacts, programs, bookmarks, emails, pictures, documents, music, video, calendar, location data, social media data, and your ebooks. Now,
I'm surprised about the ebooks one, if I'm going to be honest. I thought that would be more like, I don't know. I guess it would be from another
Cloud situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised ebooks is on there.
yep.
It's like media, so I think
Yeah.
all your media will go. Yeah.
Now, granted, from the computer perspective, if you have a large library, you're not going to sync all of your stuff from your computer to your phone. It wouldn't work. But you typically would want to back up any recent purchases, any recent bookmarks, any recent, like if you're reading a book and you're riding the train and it's just easier to read it off your phone rather than carry yet another device to do that. When you go back and you sync up, it links up all your devices so that everything is synchronized, so you know where your place is in your ebook when you get back to your computer or your tablet or what have you. Amazon has this thing because they bought Audible. I was an Audible customer like 20 years ago. And then Amazon bought it, and then they did this kind of one, neat thing where if you have the book, the actual ebook, and the Audible, they'll match those up. So like if I'm reading the book at home physically on the Kindle, and then I jump in my car, I can start playing the audiobook on my phone and it matches up where I was in the book. And then, so I can listen to the book while I'm on a commute with, to take my kids to school or whatever. And then when I get back and I turn my ebook back on, it's skipped ahead where I stopped in the audiobook. So they sync both of those two things together, which allows me to get a lot more reading in, because it allows both of those things to pair up, and they'll give you some like discounts if you buy both together or whatever. So kind of neat things that they do with that.
Kelly, you saying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes me realize, like, I would have thought once you sync your data or sync whatever, or your media and stuff, that it would do that automatically. But you saying that made me realize, like, oh no, like is that a new feature that they did?
Well, so a lot of the synchronization now is happening on the back end through cloud. So initially you had to do that plug in and sync it every time. But now
I'm talking about I'm sorry. I'm talking about the pages, like keeping your place.
It's relatively new, like in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say, where it actually paired those two things up.
Yeah, I would have thought
before you would have to kind of manually do it, but now
Yeah.
it automatically does it. And then for some of me, like I'm a avid reader, I love to read and learn new things. So that was a really, really awesome feature for me.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so kind of get into this. Each of these things just a little bit at a time. Push contacts uses kind of push synchronization, means it automatic. It requires no effort on the part of the user. It goes ahead and syncs your contacts. So unless you actively opt out of it, it's automatically going to sync contacts with your, with your emails that you have on your computer or whatnot, however you have it paired up. Applications, if you download an app on your phone, whenever you do the sync, it'll show up on your tablets. And if they have a computer version of it, it might show up on your computer too. So for your convenience, we'll place this on every device you own. You may have it with photographs where you take some pictures on your phone and then they're already on your computer, where you have that auto syncing if you allow for that. Bookmarks. If you're going to certain websites, you find some neat articles that you want to read later, you can go ahead and bookmark them. It'll sync that with your computer. You can go look up that bookmark using the same web browser and read the article on your computer if you wish, or on your tablet. So it's conveniently allowing us to kind of just share this data across devices. Email, it really depends on if you're using POP3 or IMAP, but the email will also synchronize, but most particularly contacts, calendar items. So if you add stuff to your calendar on your desktop, it's going to sync to your phone and you'll get alerts on your phone, even if you're traveling away from your desk. You know, hey, did you forget you were supposed to be in a meeting in 15 minutes? I personally love that one. But works mostly on the back end for that particular one. Pictures, depending on the types of pictures or the amount of pictures you have, you may or may not have to set it to auto sync. You may have it set up where you keep 90% of it in the cloud and then only sync certain folders to your phone. But any new photos that come in your phone automatically sync up to your computer or the cloud, however you wish you have it set up. You can set certain documents to sync. This will not sync all of them, but it does give a lot of mobility to our daily lives with regards to work and things like that. And that's becoming ever more important, especially over the last 2 years. Music. Not many people doing this one anymore because of things like Spotify and stuff like that, where you basically pay a subscription service and it gives you access to the vast majority of music that's out there. But for people who still buy music, you can still sync up your music. Like if you make a purchase on your phone, when you get back, you can sync it to your device. Or if you sync it, if you purchase on your computer, it'll show up on your device and you can download it or synchronize it there. Same thing with videos. And we already talked about calendar items as well. A little more on the scarier side, location data. Your phone tracks and traces pretty much everywhere you go. Most applications, when you download them, will ask you, are you willing to share location data? Which is why if you show up in the parking lot of Home Depot or whatever, all of a sudden the Home Depot app pings you and says, hey, what can I help you find? It knows when you show up. It also knows when you go to their competitors. So you go to Lowe's and they're like, hey, we've got a really big sale on too, So if you don't know whether or not you're being tracked on your phone, up in the top of your corner, that little menu bar, if there's a little arrow up there, you're being tracked at that moment. So there is an app, at least one, that's keeping tabs on where you are. So, and then when you come home, it syncs up. Yes, Artez.
Excuse me. Is it safe to say if the device could do it, it will do it? Like, I know you could say, oh, don't track me, but is it really not tracking you? Like,
is it possible that, there are requirements for a lot of the app stores that if they're tracking you, you need to be notified by that little icon. That's not to say that, if you have an app on there or if you get a virus or something on your phone, that they can track you without notifying you. Yes, that's possible. It's just like on your cameras and microphones on your devices, even at your house. It is very easy to gain access to somebody's camera or mic, which is why a lot of people invest in the camera blockers. So,
not tape.
Well, you can get one with like a little little sliding panel for like $0.25,
Right.
and then your computer screen doesn't get all sticky.
Right.
Yes, Crystal.
So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but people were hacking nanny cams.
Oh yeah, those are one of the first ones to get into.
Yeah, so
Those
just
are rather easy.
Artez, like if people can, they will. That's all I'm saying. And then like with the GPS tracker in Google, because I have Android, it'll say places you have been recently, and I didn't even put that location into my GPS to find that location, but it knows I was driving down the street on U Street to get to Oohs and Ahs at restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So I don't keep my GPS on. I only use it when I need directions.
We haven't got into it yet, but when we start talking about security, it is terrifying the amount of data that social media keeps on you. And the amount of stuff that they know about you just through your actions on social media, your searches, where you go, stuff like that. The predictive algorithms that they have in place are terrifying.
But would that
But it,
also correlate to the fact that people share too much?
That's
Yeah.
part of it, but you don't even need to go that far. And because people have shared too much, they can now associate certain types of searches with certain types of behaviors.
Right. They even track your keystrokes. So
Yep.
it's crazy.
Keystrokes, your mouse, everything. Like Amazon can tell based on how long your mouse is over a particular item if you have a high likelihood of purchasing it. And so if you do, they'll go ahead and ship it to the warehouse closest to you so that they can react quicker and get the item to you.
That just sounds like good business.
That is good business.
But
it is good business.
It's scary though. It's scary.
But from a social media perspective and from an application perspective, we said it in the first day of class, we're going to say it again. If an item is free, you're the product.
If the item is free, it ain't for me.
So if the item is free, how do they make their money? They're selling you. They're selling your information, your data, your attention.
Hi, Kelly. I have a question. So is it true that Amazon make like sale and discount based on individual activities? Like you can see like the product is on sale, but it's really not on sale. It's just on sale for you based on your, I don't know, your
Yes.
browsing history and stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes, yes, but also based on your purchasing habits, if you're more likely to buy something, like you're more of an impulse type buyer, they will make it look like it's on sale. So they'll say, oh, this item is normally, $50 when it's normally $30. And they'll say like, and it's on sale for $30. And you're like, oh, that's a great deal. And you go ahead and buy it. So Kohl's got in trouble for this because if anybody notices, Kohl's always has a sale. They actually got sued for this. If it's always on sale, then it's not a sale. That's standard price. So they actually lost a pretty decent sized lawsuit because of.
As scary as a lot of this stuff sounds, for the most part, I'm not defending big corporations at all because it is really, it's not cool. It's very scumbaggy type of thing. But for the most part, when it comes to the information that they have, the likelihood of the information being used by those big corporations for malicious intent, for anybody that is afraid, is very low. Is very low for that case. It's still, they're selling your information nonetheless. I'm not saying that that's not malicious in itself.
Maybe malicious on the individual, but on the societal level.
On the societal level, it's bad.
Yes,
you're like,
because
you're looking at a group of people and you're like, okay, so I know y'all gonna be buying this, y'all gonna be buying that.
Well, but you look at other things, like they learned really quickly that people share things that make them angry much more often than they share things that they like.
Yeah.
And so they design things to make you angry in order to get you to share. Rage drives traffic. So it's a really scary social experiment that they've been essentially implementing for the last decade or so. Any case, we will get into that a little bit more with security. Data synchronization. We got a little into the weeds, mostly because I love talking about security. But social media data, your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff. If you've used those apps, they're going to share that information with the other devices you interact with so that you have a more seamless experience. So that data is always shared. eBooks, talked about that briefly already as well. Oh yeah, the Google search for when you search for particular items at Target. Yeah, I remember that one, Francis. So different types of sync methods. Basically, it comes down to cabled, uncabled. So you have the old school cabled method. Here's the Apple ones. There's that 30-pin connector we were talking about earlier, which is the older Apple connector for the iPhone 5. And I think it's the iPad 3 and below. Uses the 30-pin. Newer ones use the Lightning, although they are converting over to the USB-C, mostly because of a loss in a lawsuit in Europe where they can't have different types of connectors. All right, Android uses the micro, the mini, and now the C, depending on the age of the device you're using. Or you can sync it through your Wi-Fi network when you get home if you sync with your computer. Or if you're not syncing with the computer and just going with the cloud, you can use cellular. Many apps may sync individually behind the scenes, which is partly why you can turn off apps being allowed to use cellular data. You know, nice feature if you're pretty limited on your data. But that's basically your two methods: wired, unwired. Unwired, you have Wi-Fi or cellular. All right. Requirements, pretty simple. You need to have the disk space. You know, it's more important on your phone than it is on your computer, because we tend to run out of space on our phone much sooner than we do on our computer, especially if you have an iPhone where you can't expand the memory. The operating systems, typically you need to operate off of Mac or Windows, although Android, you do have a little bit more flexibility because the Android phone can be viewed almost like a hard drive to your computer. So it's, you know, there are third-party applications that you can use to sync the Android. So in that sense, Android has a lot more versatility than the Apple does. Apple devices used to have everything all in one app. They had iTunes, and that's where you could do everything together. You could do pictures, videos, music, applications, all that fun stuff in one convenient little application. And they thought, you know what? Instead of having this all in one place, maybe we should have 5 apps that people need to go to get this information. And so that's what they did. They broke it up. You now have the Apple TV app, you have the podcast app, you have the music app, you have the book app, and then you have the Finder app where you synchronize a lot of this stuff. Brilliant, brilliant marketing. Why make it all in one place when you can have people go to multiple places? So, but just remember, originally it was iTunes. Now you synchronize Apple in the Finder. Android syncs with Google, but they also have a lot of third-party applications to transfer movies and music and stuff like that as well. Windows Phone, nobody cares. So that's if you're syncing to a desktop computer. A lot of people sync to the cloud. If you have enough cloud storage space, no physical cables required. You could do this whenever you're attached to a Wi-Fi, or if you have, you know, data to burn, you can do it over cellular. As long as you have enough storage space, you're able to sync to the cloud, no problem whatsoever. Most of them give you a small amount to start with. I think, was it OneDrive gives you, was it 10 gigs? Google Drive gives you 15. And I don't know if they changed it, but the big spenders over there at Apple, I think, give you 1 gig. So. All right. Questions on this? All right. iOS synchronization syncs locally through Finder now. Used to be iTunes, or on the cloud through iCloud. Again, data is about the same. Music, videos, contacts, pictures, email, programs, all that stuff can be stored in the cloud if you wish, or on your PC or on your computer. The app for synchronizing can both be on a PC or a Mac. It doesn't specifically have to be a Mac. All right. So it still kind of looks the same. You have the icon here in the Finder. Once you plug it in, you click on that, it takes you into your phone. You can tell it what you want to sync. Do you want to sync pictures? If you want to sync pictures, do you want to sync just specific albums, or do you want to sync the entire library? Depending on the amount of pictures you have, will determine what you want to do. The same with music, movies, ebooks, audiobooks, playlists, all that kind of fun stuff. Once you're done, you've selected what you want to put on there or remove from your phone, hit sync, and it'll run through that process and go ahead and take care of that from you from that point on. So, all right, iCloud. Go into your settings, iCloud backup. And if you're before iOS 7, it's settings, cloud, storage, and backup. And then you can go in as long as you have the free space and say backup now. And it will go ahead and start syncing everything to the cloud for you. Android, don't really have a centralized application, much like Apple now. They tend to sync over the internet for the most part. Contacts and calendars tend to get synced through Gmail if you utilize that. They have different applications you can use for other stuff like movies and music and stuff like that. I think two of the ones that people liked, especially at this time, was Double Twist and Dashlane. And they kind of act like a iTunes type application. All right, and I forgot to share sound. Go me. There we go.
First, we'll show you how to back up an iPhone, and then we'll show you how to back up an Android phone. Let's get started. On the home screen, tap Settings. Tap your Apple ID at the top of the list. If prompted, sign in with your Apple ID. Tap iCloud, then tap the little slider next to the desired apps you want backed up. Tap the iCloud Backup app at the bottom of the list. Turn on iCloud Backup if it's disabled. Tap Backup Now and wait for the backup to complete. Next up, we're going to show you how to back up your Android phone. Just get into your settings menu, and once you're in the settings menu, you can tap the search bar or search button and type Backup. That gets you to the Google Backup section.
Some good answers. Updates, locations can change. For some, it can be easier, maybe faster. Another good one is people may forget the path.
you should see a toggle button next to Backup to Google Drive, and just below that, the Google account that your info is being backed up to. Make sure the toggle is on, which is to the right. After turning the backup on, go ahead and tap Backup Now. Then just wait for it to complete. And there you go.
For an Android, could you use a different backup? Get a couple more. Looks like it's pretty resounding though. Yes, there are third-party applications you can use, a variety of them, depending on what's out there to back up your information on your Android. All right. We're going to go ahead and bypass this because there we go. Synchronization issues and pitfalls. Incomplete synchronization. This one does happen a lot, unfortunately. It could be due to connectivity issues, the device issue itself, remote infrastructure issues, like if you're using somebody else's Wi-Fi, or if sometimes even if you're doing over cell service, if the cell signal drops, it won't be able to synchronize properly. Sometimes the issues can be, it can cause incomplete downloading of your email. It can cause duplication of emails, which is zero fun. So most likely your culprit is connectivity for the most part. So make sure you're close enough to your Wi-Fi antenna. If you're getting intermittent Wi-Fi signals, usually means you're pretty far away or it's overburdened. There's too many people on it. Cellular connections, if you're trying to do it over cellular, if you've only got 1 or 2 bars, probably not the best time to sync your data. So wait till you have a better signal or sync over Wi-Fi if you get a chance. Or if you're in a big concrete building, you may not get a great cell signal, so maybe go outside and you'll get better reception. Other problems may occur, authentication issues. If you put in your password incorrectly, forgot your password, or what have you, both on the computer and on the device, it may not sync. Some of them use different passwords than you would normally use for your account for your full backups, like if you're trying to recover a backup of your phone or something like that. So forgetting the password of that can be very problematic. If you have an older operating system on your phone or it's not compatible with the one that's on your computer, then that may cause issues. And then again, like different providers, same source, like if you have, if you're working off of a Verizon tower and you're in a Metro PCS, they may not sync properly, or they may not communicate properly until one or the other has been updated. So you may have synchronization issues that way. Any questions on this so far? Usually it's just you got a bad signal. Questions? All right. With that, we come to the close of this particular technical session. We should now be able to describe the purpose and value of synchronizing data between mobile devices and desktops. Identify the types of data that could be synchronized. Some of this you may not have known. Some of this you may have known. Please be sure you understand all the ones that are actually synced, because you will be asked questions on that. Describe your connection types, generally boils down to wired and unwired. And steps to sync in the data. And then after that, common problems, which mostly comes down to signal strength for the most part. Questions, comments, concerns?
I mean, I experienced with WhatsApp when it's